The corridors of the research station on the outer rim of Epsilon 9 were silent, save for the hum of the life support systems. I had been stationed there for 6 months, cataloging interstellar anomalies and recording observations for the Galactic Science Council. The isolation was a constant companion, and I welcomed any sign of life beyond the sterile metallic walls. It was during one of my routine scans in the observation deck that I first saw her. She emerged from the shadows of the docking bay, tall and ethereal, her skin shimmering in a spectrum of colors that defied earthly description. Her eyes, large and luminescent, fixed on the holographic displays with an intensity that made the air between us feel charged. I could hardly tear my gaze away, but in that moment, I realized I had been staring. Caught off guard, my face flushed under my helmet. The sound of her voice, melodic and soft yet commanding, made me freeze. "Why are you looking at me like that?" she asked, stepping closer. I stumbled over my words, trying to offer some scientific explanation. I was just observing your physiology. It's remarkable." She tilted her head, studying me as if I were a specimen in a lab. But instead of the expected disdain or anger, she smiled, slightly, almost imperceptibly. Most humans react with fear or aggression. You are curious." Her reaction threw me off balance. In all my training, I had prepared for encounters with alien life forms that were hostile, evasive, or indifferent. Never had I considered one that responded to human curiosity with amusement. Over the next several hours, she allowed me to approach. She moved with a fluid grace that suggested both strength and fragility, her movements almost hypnotic. I followed, cautiously, recording everything in my mind and in the encrypted logs of my datapad. "Why are you here?" I asked, finally finding my voice. She paused, and the deck's lights reflected off her iridescent skin. "I am on a mission of observation like you," she said. "But my mission is older than your understanding of time in this sector. I have seen civilizations rise and fall, stars ignite and collapse, yet your species has a spark, something different." Her words unsettled me. Was she testing me, or merely speaking truths beyond my comprehension? As the hours passed, she led me through areas of the station I had never seen, spaces that shimmered with alien technology, walls that seemed to breathe, corridors that shifted subtly when you weren't looking directly at them, and a chamber filled with holographic projections of galaxies I had never known existed. "You see," she said, gesturing to the vast display of cosmic wonders, "most life forms are blind to the deeper patterns of the universe. They live in linear time, bound by fear, bound by limitation. You look, you observe. That is rare." Her compliment made me uneasy. It was not flattery, it was recognition, acknowledgement of a capacity I had never considered extraordinary. Curiosity overcame caution. I asked, "If your mission is observation, why reveal yourself to me? Why interact at all?" She considered this, tilting her head slightly. "Because I am alone in this sector, and because you are not afraid. Most humans would have tried to flee, or worse, attack. But you stayed. You looked, and in that act, you became part of something larger." Her presence was magnetic, pulling me into a kind of lucid trance. I wanted to ask 1,000 questions. Who was she? Where did she come from? What was her civilization like? Yet I feared that any direct inquiry might break the fragile connection forming between us. Instead, I followed, documenting silently, letting her guide the exploration. She led me to a chamber filled with what looked like a living map of the universe. Stars pulsed gently, nebulae shimmered in colors that no human eye could replicate, and entire galaxies rotated in patterns of mesmerizing complexity. "This is the nexus," she said. "Through it, I witnessed the unfolding of countless worlds. And you can glimpse it too, if you allow yourself to see beyond your fears. I stepped closer, and the map responded to my presence, light shifting and flowing in response to my gaze. I felt as though I could sense the heartbeat of the cosmos itself. It was overwhelming, intoxicating, and yet strangely intimate. "Why me?" I whispered, almost to myself. She turned, her eyes locking onto mine, radiating both curiosity and warmth. "Because you see, because you acknowledge, because you are willing to look without needing to control." It was in that moment I understood that my initial act of staring had not been an offense but an invitation, an unspoken acknowledgement of connection. She had caught me looking, yes, but instead of anger or disdain, she had chosen to reveal herself fully. Time lost meaning. Hours, perhaps days, passed as we moved through the station, exploring, observing, learning. I began to understand her language of gestures, subtle shifts in light and color, the way her form would bend and ripple like water. In turn, I shared my observations of human science, of the fragile world I had come from, and of the delicate patterns of life we clung to on Earth. Finally, she brought me back to the observation deck. "You must return to your world soon," she said softly. "But remember this, you carry the spark of seeing, of acknowledging, of being open. It is rare and precious. Do not squander it." I nodded, feeling a weight I had not anticipated. "Will I see you again?" I asked. She smiled, the first full smile I had seen. "Perhaps. But whether or not you do is irrelevant. What matters is that you remember the act of looking, truly looking. That will guide you far more than any technology, any star map, any instruction manual ever could." And with that, she stepped back into the shadows of the docking bay, her form dissolving into the iridescent light of the station, leaving me alone but profoundly changed. I returned to my quarters, my logs filled with observations that would dazzle the council and inspire my colleagues. Yet the true lesson, the one that burned brightest, was simple: to see without fear, to acknowledge without judgment, and to recognize that sometimes the universe reaches out in ways that cannot be anticipated. She had caught me looking, but her reaction was not what I expected. It was far more. It was understanding, it was connection, it was revelation. And in the silence of the station, as I stared at the stars beyond the viewport, I realized that looking, truly looking, might be the most revolutionary act of all. Word count, 1012. If you want, I can also create a full SEO package for this story for YouTube, including timestamps with emojis, 30 hashtags, 30 keywords, why watch, what you'll learn, and tags, fully optimized for a 10-plus minute video. Do you want me to do that next?